We are live. Welcome to GarageBand Weekly Songtember edition. Let's do it. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today and GarageBand Weekly, a very special number 90 Songtember edition. Yeah, we're only 10 episodes, 10 weeks away from the 100th episode. It'll be happening before Christmas, and Christmas is only 4 months away. Less than, in fact. There you go. We've just passed 2/3 Christmas. I hope you're doing well. This is going to be a bit different because usually on this show we go through some news and notes. I have some tips and we do some app of the week and we do a whole bunch of other GarageBand related goodness, and we'll be kind of doing all that here today, but it's going to be more focused around creating. It's going to be more of a practical kind of show today because I'm working on my Songtember song. Yes, it is Songtember. What's Songtember all about if you're brand new to the channel or if you haven't been hanging around? Well, it's our Song in a Month challenge where I set you the goal to create, record and release, to finish a song all in the month of September. It's a lot of fun. We get the community involved here and we all help each other and boost each other up along the way. Now, if you're here live on YouTube, I know we're onto Facebook and Twitch and other places, but there's a YouTube poll. If you're watching on YouTube live, answer the poll. And if you're here watching on the replay, let me know down in the comments, how are you going? How far along are you? And the poll question says, are you not started yet? Are you 0 to 25%, 25 to 50%, or more than 50%? We're here on day 5. So if you're more than 50%, you're crushing it. I'm in the 0 to 25% range right now. So I've done quite a bit of my song, so we'll dive into it in more detail in a moment, but I've got my demo recorded here, as you can see. I've recorded scratch vocals, scratch guitar. I've started workshopping a little bit around the arrangement, and this week here on the show, I will be fleshing this out, getting my arrangement bedded down, and then really cracking into the recording. I'm excited that I'll be trying out a brand new piece of kit as well, so the wonderful folks over at IK Multimedia sent me this one, and I'm going to use this exclusively once we get to the recording process, the iRig Pro Duo IO, which is apparently, from those that use it, a very nice piece of kit that you can use with your Mac, PC, iPhone or iPad, and I'll be using all of them because I've already started on my iPad, which is what you can see here. If you caught the last episode, I went out and about. It's in my pocket. I went out and about and recorded on my iPhone, and those parts have actually been included. Those are these weird little audio recorder bits. This was me walking through the Botanic Gardens here in Adelaide, recording bits of audio and then adding them to my song. And then later today, after this show, after we've done this, I'll be going out and doing more of that on the iPhone. And that's the beauty part of GarageBand, is that you can actually utilize it. If you save it here in your iCloud drive, as I've done, it's the same. So it'll go across platform and you can update things on your iPhone or your iPad and everything stays together and up to date, which is so cool. Seriously, we live in the future, folks. Speaking of folks, let's say hello to the kind folks who are here today. Desla Morning says, I have that. You have this. You have the iRig Pro Duo IO. I've heard it's a good bit of kit. Hello to Joe Glenn, who's here. Hello to Friggsy. We've got Mark Bro. We've got Gary Hubbs is here. Jade Star. Who have I missed? Gregory O'Sullivan is here. Deep Gravity. We've got Gortium 85. Put about 16 hours and my brain is mush now. I know, but you know what? You might not have put in 16 hours if you hadn't been inspired, hopefully, by the wonderful community that we have around here. Who have I missed and haven't said good day to? Ashley HM. I hope you are doing well. Did I utter the C word? Oh no, I hope not. Yeah. I just so here in Australia, there's this Live Nation movement at the moment here because we have to get a certain percentage of people that get the jab, the shot, before we can open up live music venues and have theatre and have music and things. So, of course, I shared something that was shared by Icehouse, Ivor Davies, lead singer of Icehouse, absolute dead set legend, and of course, the very first comment was someone like, "Oh yeah, resist the," like, come on, people. We're trying to have a society here. All right, let's not get political here. Yeah, there you go. Get some wine into you, Joe and Barry Glenn. Get some wine and let's talk music and let's get cracking on this one. So what I'm going to do here today is I've got a list down in the description. You'll see that there's a list of a bunch of tips. And what I'm going to do I'm actually going to record a video here. Well, I'm going to record the sections that are going to then become a video. I'm just going to count how many I've got here. I think I've got 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So we've got 11 tips, and these are, over the last 5 days, things that I've learnt and things, not learnt, but things that I've utilized in my songwriting process. And as I went through, what I was doing is noting down all these different techniques so that I could actually do one sort of list, because you know what? The internet loves lists. So who am I to go against the love of the internet? So we're going to jump in. The C word was Christmas. Gotcha. We're going to jump in here and show some of these tips. So it's going to be a bit strange. Oh, by the way, before we go on, the t-shirt I'm wearing today here, thank you again to all the cool folks. We'll just come over here. This is from the Martin Brothers. So Jim, one of the members of the Martin Brothers, sent me this t-shirt, and basically my summer wardrobe is sorted. I've got my Delicate Giants t-shirt, I've got my Chandler Brothers, my Martin Brothers, I've got my own Studio Live Today merch. It is awesome. Distro Kids sent me a shirt. So seriously, I've got like 5 t-shirts now in heavy rotation, and I just don't have to buy any more t-shirts for the whole summer. Hello to Brad Example, who's here as well. All right, let's get this queued up here, and we'll get started on these 11 songwriting tips here in GarageBand. If you're creating music in GarageBand, there's some tips that I have for you around the songwriting and arranging and recording process that are going to help you out. Let's dive in. Tip number 1. When you're setting up a project, use your drummer as a metronome. So here's my song that I'm working on at the moment here in Songtember. And the very first thing that I do when I set up a new project is turn off the metronome, because the metronome is very not inspiring. Let's take a listen to what the GarageBand metronome actually sounds like. Right? And yes, you can change your metronome sound. You can come in here to your settings and you can adjust the metronome sound here. But trust me, all 4 of these are about as bad as each other. So what do I do and what do I recommend? I recommend just throwing a drummer track on here. So you can see here that I've used Darcy as my metronome. And if we come in here and we highlight this one, now we can turn off the metronome. And when I record in my scratch guitar track, as I did originally, it's so much nicer because you can just have that drum beat. You can sit there in the pocket rather than listening to the tick-tock of the annoying metronome. You can play along to a real drummer. It's a lot more organic, and you'll find your performances improve significantly. Tip number 2 is sections. Use song sections. Now, GarageBand doesn't have the best song sections, but if you click or tap on the plus button in the top right corner here, you can actually set up your song sections. You can see I've got A through to H here. You can't rename them, but I've got another tip that's going to help you with that in a moment. But what you can do is actually set up your sections here. And why are these important? Well, you can jump to each individual section, and you can see there it highlights it there in your track. And then if you come back out here, it will zoom in on just that section. So if you're working on your chorus, you're working on your verse, you can just go ahead and have just that highlighted. Of course, you can then go back and go to your all sections here. Now, you may not want to set up sections when you're writing your song. That's fine. Just come in here and set yourself one section of like 200 bars and start recording. But what you can do at the end is come back and actually add them in afterwards. And I've got a video, which is linked in the description, that shows you how to do that, how to actually add sections after the fact. So don't freak out if you don't have sections or if you've never used them. But if you want to be able to utilize them in your recordings, check that one out and use your sections. It's going to make life a lot easier when you start the arrangement process. See, this is where you get to see the live behind the scenes stuff where I get to have a drink in between. All right, let's move on to the next one. We'll go back to all sections here and back to the start. And I'll be editing this one, by the way. I'll do a Patreon show and I'll show the behind the scenes of how I actually edit in LumaFusion on my iPhone, because you'll see all I do is pull down this live video and then edit the sections together. It's quite simple and quite seamless. All right. Speaking of sections, having a lead-in section is super important. So if you take a look at the start of this song, you'll notice that the intro here starts from bar number 5. Yes, the first 4 bars are my lead-in section. And the reason I have that is that, in particular in a song like this one, that actually starts right before the bar note, starts before the first beat of the bar, you need to have a bit of room in there. And even if your song starts right on that beat, if you're playing a piano chord or especially a guitar chord, there's nothing worse than it cutting off the very start of your very first chord. So give yourself at least one bar. I recommend 2 or 4. The other cool thing it does is it gives you extra time. So if you're playing guitar in here and you hit the record button, you're going to be able to actually have 4 bars of lead in. Otherwise, if you're right up here, GarageBand by default only gives you a 4 count. And that's the maximum you can set it to. So it's a bit clunky, but if you have a lead in section, you're going to be good to go. Tip number 4, speaking of arranging and speaking of sections, I mentioned that you can't actually name your sections in here. You can't actually change A, B, C, and D. So what I do is when I first record here in GarageBand is I set up a scratch track, and it can be guitar or vocal or drums, whatever you want to use. And then I actually split out my track and add it as sections. Now I've used the guitar track here, but I could just as easily use a drummer track. So let's show you a practical example. Let's grab this drummer track and we'll use the original one. So this was my original metronome track. I'll bring this one all the way up, just to grab it and drag it up there. And if I didn't already have this in place, look at this. It doesn't even have to be on. But say we wanted this metronome track to be here. Here it is. What we can actually do is go to each spot here, tap again, hit the split button, and just drag down on that one. And then come to the next section. Again, tap it, split, and drag down on that one. Go to the next section, tap it again, split it, drag it down. And what we can do with this, in fact, you can even just grab that split handle and move it along and do your splits that way, by the way. If you wanted the quicker way to split, I always forget to do that, but you can literally just leave the split on and drag it across there. So the beauty part of this is you can then rename each of these song elements. So each one of these regions, we can tap, we can hit the rename button, and instead of it being called Darcy, we can delete that out and we can type in intro. And there you go. You can actually set each of these. We'll do it again here for the verse. Tap it again, rename. And instead of that one, it's going to be verse number 1. Very cool, very easy way to get your sections, your song sections set up here in your project in GarageBand. Lost my breath on that one. Something a little bit different about doing these where you're not doing them live, and sometimes it comes across a bit unnatural, but it just makes for the final edited video a bit nicer. So you're getting the sneak peek by being here live or watching this one on the replay, and then this will all be combined down into one 10-minute video, because some people like the live feel and the live flow. Other folks just want just the facts, man. Just get to the detail, right? All right, let's go to another one. What tip? We're up to 5. Our next tip... Our next tip is, get it together, Johns. Hang on. This is what I do, by the way. If you see me click, it means that's like an edit point. Our next tip is the 2-track recording hack. Trademark, copyright, no. This is really cool if you're recording vocals or guitar or any live instrument and you're using a 2-channel interface. So I'll show you an example of this. If we were to set up here, say we're recording some vocals, we hit the plus there, we come in here to our audio recorder, we go more sounds, and we want the vocal sound, we want the lead vocals. Okay, we're set up here to record. I'm on channel 1 here. I've got a 2-channel interface, so I can be on 1 or 2. I'd turn my monitoring on and I'd be ready to record. The thing is, though, if I hit the record button now with all of this set up, look what happens. Because we're all just... It jumps over here. It jumps over to this track. Now, we don't want that. We don't want to record on this track because it's too hard. Let's just undo that recording. It's too hard to see where you're up to. Like, we've set all these cool sections and things here. We want to be able to see the sections while we're recording. What's the solution? Well, we tap on this one and we duplicate that track. And then we change our settings here. So we go to the plugins icon here. Actually, no, we don't. We go to this one. We go to the microphone. And then instead of channel 1, we make this input 2. We don't need to put monitoring on because we don't want to hear any of this, and you don't need to plug anything into input 2. It's just a dummy track. And the good news here is, here's the track we're recording on. If we set this track to record as well, take a look at what happens now. There's a little number 2 under your record button there, and when you hit record, because we're all just a work in progress. And look what happens. It records not only on your actual track, but the second track as well. And it leaves you out here on the track view instead of going to that crazy microphone view where you can't see anything behind. This is great for iPad, but even better for smaller iPhones where you really need to be able to see what's going on. So that is the 2-track hack. And you can see here the whole reason I've got this entire lead vocal track is this is my dummy track from when I was recording my actual lead vocals. This is muted and it's set to the other input, and then this one's just set to input 1, and we record on it. So there you go, the 2-track hack here in GarageBand. What have we got next? Speaking of track hacks, what about the master volume hack? Now you'll notice here that I've got FX on this track, and you might think that's a bit weird because you're not actually using some effects, so we'll delete it, you're right. But let's explain why I have the effects track here. When I was recording a screen recording the other day while I was out walking around, the track was too loud. It was overpowering. I was trying to explain what I was doing and the audio was too loud. So I needed to turn it down. But instead of coming in here and turning each one of these individual tracks down painstakingly, all I needed to do was use the FX track hack. And to do that, we tap on the FX button here. We just record in any old FX because we're not going to actually use this, but we just need to make sure that the FX track is enabled. So just fiddle around with your filter there, hit the stop button. And if we scroll on down here, there you go. We've got some FX there. We don't want that. So we'll tap it again, we'll delete it. But now that we have this enabled, what we can do is hit this button here, go to our plugins and EQ, go into our visual EQ, and look at this. Yes, I've already done it. So we can, this is defaulted to 0. You can turn the entire track up, or you can turn the entire track down. So if everything's too quiet and you want to have a master volume up, you can do that. If like this one, it's all too loud, we can turn it down, which is exactly what I did using this trick. And that is why the volume can be now nice and level. If we play it back now. Just a work in progress. If we take it back to that original one, so if we come back in here to, we've got to go back to the track, go back to the FX track, boom, and come in here, then we can actually do it. So if we went the other way, it's going to be louder. Nobody's got it. Too loud, right? So yeah, we can adjust that here in our master track. So while GarageBand iOS doesn't have a master track, we can kind of create one using the master track hack. Speaking of tracks again, naming your tracks is super important. And this is a do as I say, not as I do, because check this out. I've got all these audio recorded tracks that I recorded while I was walking around. I have not named a single one of them. So I don't know which one of these is my chorus idea or my verse idea or some samples I've recorded. I did a bad thing. But when I'm here in the studio, I've done pretty well here. So you can see here, I know that this is my section guide track. I know that these are my lead vocal harmony. These are my lead vocals. These are my backing vocals. This is my metronome that I'm using. And this is my acoustic guitar. So that's what you really need to get into the habit of doing as we lose it. This is why we record these live. We're going to have to redo that one. Let's come back over here and reshare that. I was just sitting here going, I wonder if we're going to get through the whole thing without a crash or without the screen going away or whatever. And yeah, turns out didn't. Gary Hubbs is right here. Your project is in a shambles, Pete. Have a good word to yourself. I will. I'll be giving myself a stern talking to later. Speaking of later, after we do this show here, there is going to be a second show today. Just an exclusive show for those who are members of the Create, Record, Release Facebook group or who are patrons of mine. So if you want to jump into that show and you need to quickly join either my Patreon, patreon.com/PeteJohns, or the Create, Record, Release Facebook group, go ahead and do that. And the reason that I'm keeping it exclusive, and I'm not sharing the link here publicly, is that we're going to be playing some people's music that they've shared. And because these are private groups, I wanted to make sure that it was, even though I say sharing is caring and Sharon is Karen, I want to make sure that that we have a little bit of privacy there. All right, we're going to have to redo our track naming one here again. So sorry you've already heard this, but hey, technology for the lose sometimes, right? Speaking of tracks, naming your tracks is super important. If we scroll down to the bottom here, you'll notice that I haven't taken my own advice here. This is a do as I say, not as I do, because I recorded all these tracks while I was out walking around and I haven't renamed them. So I don't now know which one of these is the verse or the chorus idea or some other random idea here. So I need to do some work to rename these tracks. However, the ones that I started with here, I did a pretty good job. So we know that this is my section guide track that we talked about before. We've got my lead vocal harmony, my lead vocals there, my backing vocals, my metronome here, and my acoustic guitar. So get into the habit of naming your tracks. If you're not sure how to do that, if I wanted to rename, say, my lead vocals, which I probably do, I can tap on this one, tap again, and hit the rename button. Make sure you're tapping right on the icon there. You'll then get this option here, and we can just call this. What I tend to do is I tend to write Vox, and then use brackets to say lead. That way I can have Vox lead, Vox harmony, Vox backing, and you have a consistent naming convention. So use your track names, otherwise you'll end up looking like this, a complete mess, just like Pete. All right. Where was it? Okay, so I'm going to go to the next bit. Speaking of these messy tracks, I've got another tip for you here, and that is you don't always have to know how to play something, or at least when you're writing it, you don't need to know how to play it. And my example here is that when I was out walking, and you can see that video linked down in the description as part of Songtember, I actually recorded in a bunch of little ideas here. And these are things that aren't necessarily going to be singing or backing vocals. They may be an instrument, but you can shortcut the situation here by actually recording them in. So let's embarrass me and take a listen to some of these things that I've recorded here. So here's one, and again, because I didn't name them or label them, I don't know what each one is. So let's take a listen to this. So this is a pad idea. So what we can do here, because I did a bad job labeling, we'll do a quick rename here, and we can just go pad idea. And that way I know that that's what this is. So if we bring this back into the mix, this is the sort of thing that this one's doing. Nobody's knowing all they can. Now, is that going to be backing vocals? Maybe. Or maybe that'd actually be cool as an organ sound. So what we can do here is, now that we've got that idea, we can replicate that. Now that we're back in the studio, we can replicate that out. So if we hit the plus button here, let's just go and find a keyboard sound, shall we? So we'll go to our keyboards and we'll go into more sounds. And I reckon this is be an electric piano. So let's grab the electric piano maybe and use this as a pad. So yeah, so we can use this. And what we can do is line this piano up with the original track that we're trying to replicate here. So we'll come over to here and just pop it underneath, and we'll just play out these notes. So here's the pad idea. It sounds like this. Right. So that's what we're going to play along to. So this time we will put a metronome on just so that we can sort of play along here. We'll go back to our keyboard and we'll work out. So this is going to be A, E, F, D. So if we hit the record button here, we can play these in. 2, 3, 4. Got it wrong immediately. Let's try that again. 3, 4. So that's the pad idea that we had there, and now we can really quickly work out what we were actually trying to play here. And now instead of having this track in here, we can mute that one out, bring this one into our mix, and suddenly nobody's knowing all. We've got our idea there, and we're like, oh, I don't know if that electric piano, maybe that would be better as some strings. Well, then guess what? We're in our virtual instrument now. We can change this to whatever we want. We tap in the middle here, and we want this to be some strings. We can go to our other section here, throw on the string sustain, and then suddenly we've got a string pad that we can try. Nobody's knowing all they can. No. Yeah, maybe not. So, but that's a quick way to actually gather your ideas. If I try to play these parts in while I'm stumbling around the place, A, it's not going to be safe, and B, it's going to be much harder because I can sing stuff in a lot better and easier than I can actually play it in. What do we got next? Singing in parts. All right, so we got track naming, master, echo, and reverb. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's go with this one. Let's just make sure we got all of our tracks set again. All right, cool. Excuse me. How embarrassing. Let's try this one. Let's try this next one. Another thing that I love to do when I get to this stage where I've got a bit of a jam going on, sometimes your tracks kind of sound like they've all been recorded separately. You know why? Because they have been. And sometimes just adding a little tweak of reverb and echo or delay can really help. And GarageBand makes it super simple for this, because if we come in here to our plugins and EQ, we don't even have to come in here and play around with any of our individual track plugins. We can use the master effects. So what I tend to do, you can see here that on my vocals, I've got quite a bit of delay and reverb, and you would have heard that when I was playing this before. Let's take a listen. All just a work in progress. So I've got again, a reverb here. I've got some medium hall reverb, and I've got some dark quarter note echo. So you can put whatever sort of default one, but the reason this is cool is this basically creates your space. So now that I've got the vocals like that, when I come down here and I start looking at other instruments, so we come to our guitar, I've got the same. I've got a little bit less because I don't want them all to have as much of that, but the guitar's also got a little bit. If we listen to this, and just hear how you can hear it sounds like it's in that same space. You bring the guitar and the vocals together and they sound like they're in the one place. So one of the problems when we're doing multi-tracking in our home studios is all your tracks don't sound like they're together. There's no kind of shared space, whereas now, just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. So you get that feeling that you're all within that space. Now we can change this later. You can adjust your plugins and EQ, but even when you're recording, remember, mixing on the go can save you a lot of time, and it can mean that you're hearing the song more like what it's going to sound like when you actually finish it. So use your Master Effects to create a space to bring your instruments together. And then have a drink. Charles. All right. Let's, got 2 more to go. All right. One of the things that can happen when you're recording in GarageBand is you can make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Mistakes make you better. However, you don't want to make a mistake that's going to ruin your mix. So version control is something that I highly recommend. Now, when I hit the save button here, the top left, this is going to take me out here to my screen. And you'll notice I've already got 4 versions of this song. Now I'm about to make some pretty significant changes to this song. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is duplicate this project to make a version 5. And to do that, all we do is tap and hold on this one and then hit the duplicate button. There you go. It creates version 5. That then uploads to the cloud and we've got another version. The beauty of this is if I come in here to version 5 and I do a whole bunch of recording or changing or deleting and I completely mess it up, guess what? No harm, no foul. Come back out here, grab version 4, and we're back to where we started from. We can just reduplicate and restart. Now, if we don't do that, yes, you can undo things, but remember in GarageBand, as soon as you hit that button and save, your undo history goes away. So if we come back in here, there is no undo, it's gone. So if you overwrite a track, if you make significant changes to plugins, you're not going to be able to get them back. You're going to have to go back and reset everything, or even worse, if you've recorded over another piece of audio accidentally, it's gone. That's the thing. You do have non-destructive editing, meaning that you can, bring in, so if you've got a take here, you can bring in other parts of takes and you can move things around. That's all cool, except for when you actually close out because it saves out and you can't undo. So use your version control and make sure that if you're making significant changes, you've got a backup version that you can go back to. One more to go here, folks. One more tip, and then we're done with this. And I hope this was interesting. I don't do this all the time, but I wanted to record this video. I wanted to talk about these tips anyway, and I thought it was relevant here on the Songtember edition of GarageBand Weekly. So I thought we would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's always been the weirdest expression. It's like, I don't want to kill any birds. Why do I want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? All right, let's get into our final tip. And final bonus number 11 tip is to use your iCloud drive storage. Now, if you're using GarageBand here on iOS, if we save out of here, there's 2 places you can store your files. You can go to the on my iPad or on my iPhone location, and you'll have this folder here. This is where your GarageBand file transfer folder sits, and that's all that you should be putting in there. Why? Because it doesn't back up. You would need to manually back up your files. Now, there are ways to do that, and I've got a heap of videos here on the channel, linked in the description. You can check out if you want to do that. But my strong recommendation is to use iCloud Drive. Now, you'll get free iCloud Drive storage, just a little bit of it, with any iPhone or iPad, because when you get an Apple account, you get it. I have upgraded my storage so that I get the full 2 terabytes. And yes, you do have to pay for that. It's about $15 a month here in Australia, $10 a month for the US and Canada and other locations. However, it just means that everything can be stored in one place. And it means when you're doing things like version control that we mentioned in the last tip, you got plenty of space to do that. But even if you've only got a small amount of space, and even if you can only work on 1 project at a time, if it's your active project, make sure you're here in iCloud Drive in the GarageBand for iOS folder. And the other thing that I recommend doing is creating a separate subfolder for each project. Now, I know that sounds like a bit of overkill, but and look, I do have like an ideas folder here where I just have a bunch of ideas. But when you're working on a particular song, having its own folder here just tidies things up and makes it really, really simple so that you can have all of your versions. You can use your version control. And guess what? If my iPhone or my iPad goes for a swim, it is backed up. It is in the cloud and it's not going anywhere. So it gives you that redundancy. It also means that when I go out and about and I grab my iPhone, it can be instantly accessible on my iPhone because they both use the same iCloud Drive account. So have all of your stuff, all of your eggs in the one basket and you won't go wrong. There we go. So that is my 11 tips. Hopefully you found something useful. Were any of those news to you? Did anyone go, oh, I hadn't done that or I hadn't thought of that? I know many of you have been around the channel for a while. You've heard me mention these before. But I also know that from the feedback I've been getting, a lot of you are doing Songtember for the first time. And even though those were GarageBand specific tips, they're actually going to be relevant. Like the Logic, basically the same thing. Use all those same tips in Logic because it's similar. You won't need things like the master track hack. And again, if you're in Reaper, I saw some people mentioning Reaper before. If you're using Reaper, if you're using Cakewalk by BandLab, whatever you're using, some of those tips are universal, especially the ones around version control and around backing up, because I don't want any heartache this month. I don't want it to get to the 20th of September and get that horrible email that I often get that says, Pete, I don't know what I did, but I moved one track and now it's corrupted the whole project. And my response will be, that's okay. How long since your last backup? How long since your last version? And then I hear silence and then I get sad and we all cry. So don't make me sad. Don't make yourself sad, more importantly, and make sure that you're backing up and using version control. Otherwise, you will be sad. Alrighty, don't forget that we are interactive here. So if you do have questions, I'm going to dive back into my Songtember project and do a little bit of work on it right here live on the show, because why not? Yeah. But if you do have questions, you just need to put the word question in front of your comment. And we will answer that. I'll just scroll back up and we'll see if we've got any questions. Just pretend they're Maggies and you'll feel better about killing them with stones. Magpies hate me. If you saw the video, if you saw my video of me walking out and about, the magpies stalk me, I swear. Like they're the idiot birds. Like I like birds. I like nature and I like birds. But magpies are just evil, man. They just wander around on the ground and they're just looking at you. And I walk past and they're staring at me. And while most birds will like run away and they'll start walking the other direction, magpies just come at me. I'm just like, don't you dare. Anyway, this has been magpie talk. But do you have magpies in other parts of the world? They're everywhere here. Russ has started. Yeah, so Russ, hopefully some of those things helped you out, mate. Russ has bought the course. So my course over at studiolivetoday.com/courses, my GarageBand beginners course, Russ has kindly purchased that one and taken a look at it. And he's creating his very first song in GarageBand, which is very cool. We'll see if we've got any. The synth choices in GarageBand. Yeah, GarageBand has so many different instrument sounds. It can be slightly overwhelming, in fact. Especially if you're looking for bass sounds or synth sounds, there's just so many of them, you end up spending a long time. Hello, Feisty Heisty, starting to sound like an REM jam. Yeah, there's definitely some REM tone to it. I agree. Smash them. Yeah, smash them thumbs up. Smash the like button. Go on, just smash it. Break your phone. Just like put your finger right through the screen. No, don't do that. That would be bad. I hear SOAD in the backing vocals you just played. Love it. Yeah, System of a Down. Yeah. I was like, SOAD. I'm like, it's Gary Hubbs talking. Oh, yeah, System of a Down. Very cool. All right, I don't think we have any other questions. Yeah, the Create, Record, Release group. Yeah, so let's talk about this real quick, because in 20 minutes' time, I'll be going live again. And this is all kind of selfish stuff around me and my project in GarageBand and workshopping my Songtember song. And then for the next hour, it's all about you. So if you want to quickly join Patreon, patreon.com/PeteJohns, or just join the Create, Record, Release Facebook group. I know Facebook's not for everyone, which is why you have the option of Patreon if you want to be part of the community, and we're going to share across both of those groups, meaning that you don't have to pay if you're in the Facebook land, or if you want to support me and you want to become a patron. Little as $1 per month, you get extra videos, you get extra stuff. It's kind of cool, and you'll be supporting me and helping the channel. You'll be helping us keep the lights on. I have a cockatiel, 100 chips in my recording. Yeah, birds in the recording. You'll hear a lot of that in just a moment. And there you go. There's the GarageBand Beginner's Guide there. Magpies, two-legged rats with wings. I agree. Hello, Pierre. Got lots of Peters around here. There's Peter, there's me, there's Pierre. We've got about as many Petes as we do Thomases. They're the consensus names. We're all full up. We don't need any more Petes or Thomas. No, we can have as many as you like. All right, so yeah, do continue going. What we're going to do, I'm going to close off the poll. So if you voted, if you haven't voted in the poll and you're here live, you've got about 30 seconds. I've got to jump over to YouTube because polls aren't supported here in StreamYard, which I use for my streaming. About 30 seconds, and I'm going to hit the end poll button, and then we will be done, and we'll find out how you're all tracking. How you going with your Songtember song? Because we're just started. So if you haven't started, everyone starts at 0. I don't want you to feel bad about it. And if you don't intend to do Songtember, that's cool too. But remember, you still got plenty of time. And if you get to the end of the month and you've got a demo recording on your phone, I say that's a win. I say you count that. You qualify as a winner. So we'll end this poll now. The audience has spoken, and then we'll let you know how everyone's going. And hopefully, when you see how many other people also haven't started or have only just begun, you're going to feel a bit better about yourself. I think so. So what have we got? Well, the most popular response was 0% haven't started. 42% of you haven't started yet. So again, if you're one of those people, hopefully you feel a little bit more comfort that you are not alone. 33% are on their way, 1 to 25%, and 12% of you are 25 to 50%. You're really kicking along, and another 12% are more than 50%. You're nailing it. Well done. But again, it takes all types, and different people have different levels of experience when it comes to songwriting, creating, recording, all the rest of it. So regardless of what point you're at, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. It is really early days. It is the 6th of September here. It's only the 5th of September for the majority of you. So you got heaps of time. That all being said, the best time to start is now. Right? Get started. As soon as you finish watching the shows here today, hopefully you get a bit of motivation and you just start something. Even if you record 4 bars or write down 4 lyric ideas. In fact, use the speed thinking method if you haven't got any ideas yet, especially if you're writing lyrics. If you're doing a song with lyrics, if you've never tried the speed thinking method, we've done it a couple of times here on the show, so I won't do a full version of it. But what you do is you put 60 seconds on a timer. You look around you, or you just think in your brain, and you come up with a concept. So what would one be? I'll just do a really quick example. So I'm looking around here and I see pillow. Don't know why, but there's a pillow because this is my home studio and I'm in my bedroom studio. So I see a pillow. And so what I do is I put 60 seconds on. I'm like, right, I'm going to write a song about a pillow. But no, I'm not really, because I'm just using that as my trigger point. And I go pillow, and I go boom, and I go pillow, bed, pillow talk, sexy times. Like you just continue going through it for a minute. Lying down, sleeping, awake, insomnia, maybe like my eyes aren't opening. Yes, feeling sad, depression, lonely. Oh, that went dark. But that's a good way to kind of just take a concept. Don't filter it. Don't let your brain think about, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Just get it out. Just start throwing stuff at the wall. And at the end of 60 seconds, you'll be amazed at how many concepts you have. And it will have gone. It's a bit like that old, there's a non-PC name for it. The game where you whisper in someone's ear and then they whisper and then they whisper and then by the telephone, is that what you call it in the States? By the time you get to the end, you've said, was there or was there not a woman? And they say, fuzzy wuzzy, was a woman? Sorry, that's a joke from a Richard Pryor movie. See no evil, hear no evil. Was it Richard Pryor and Gene, not Hackney, not Simmons? Who's the Gene that was Willy Wonka? We're getting way off track, but hopefully that gives you a couple of techniques to go there. Eyes aren't opening. I think that's being dead a little bit, or just really tired. Sanjeev says I have 3 tracks about to launch. Excellent, good stuff there. Joe Glenn says Barry now has the missing verse in place. Nice. Yeah, I think you sent me something, Joe, which we'll take a look at in the next video if you're cool with that. I figure if folks are sharing things, then. When we're doing the closed show, hopefully we're able to play them. Gary's on the 33%, and Jade is indeed nailing it. Jade's doing multiple songs, so there you go. I'm at level 0. I should start one. Yeah, get into it. Start one, Ashley. Why not? Because why not? That's right. Broken Telephone, is that what it's called? Gene Wilder. Thank you, Mark. I should have known that. Gene Wilder, an excellent actor, and that's an excellent movie. All right. Steve Waddington says, I have a bunch of songs recorded, just not sure what not to do with them now. Yeah, look, it depends. We will be covering more of that later in the month. I know Jade on her channel, because she's doing some Songtember stuff, she'll be covering a little bit more information about that as well. But yeah, you've got options. So you can share. So go to the Create, Record, Release Facebook group. You can definitely share there. If you want to release soft release, you can use YouTube or SoundCloud or slaps.com. And then, of course, I'm not going to be able to not mention DistroKid, because I love DistroKid. And if you want to get your music out to Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes and all the places, you can release with DistroKid. And as we always mention, there's a link in the description. You can save yourself 7% on your first year on any DistroKid plan. Thomas Christ, close to finishing the first of a few Songtember tracks. Yeah, I think this is the thing. Like, I'm here doing one, doing one song, and a lot of other people are like, yeah, I'm working on my Songtember EP, and I'm like, oh, show off. But yeah, I've thought about doing more than one song, and then I've realized that it's putting undue pressure, because obviously I've got to not only create and record and release the song, but I've got to do videos, daily videos about it as well, and live streams, and hopefully help inspire and encourage others by doing some of these sort of live streams and checking in on the community. So I want to take my own advice and not bite off more than I can chew. Speaking of segues, I'm bad at them, but let's jump back over to the track, because we need to do some cleaning up. Now, I'll just make sure that I have indeed come out. Yes, I'm in my version 5 here, so I can start messing with things. And I liked the idea of having this metronome, having my metronome track as the guide track. But I've already got the guitar in there, so we'll leave the guitar for now. So I'm just going to delete out this. We're going to do a little bit of cleaning up so that we don't have anything in here we don't need. We can get rid of this one, which is just that dummy track. We can re-add it later, but just to get it out of the way. We do need the dummy leading guitar there in case we're going to record more vocals. And we've got Darcy there with the drums. That's cool. This is my entire acoustic guitar track, so that's cool. This electric guitar just didn't work. And I know the idea I've got there, so I'm going to delete that out of the way. I don't know what I was doing with this electric piano. We need to rename the bass guitar to bass. So we're going to come in here and rename a little movement. This one's going to be bass, slap it a bass, bass guitar. All right. And what was this? What did I record here? Let's find out. This is where it's going to get interesting, because I don't... Oh, this was where we started the... So this is like a lead part idea. So we're going to come in here and we're going to... This is one I recorded here. We'll rename this. So this one... And I recorded this using my Bluetooth headphones, which is why it sounds really poor. Lead part idea. So we'll play with that in a moment. The pad idea we've already got there. That's called pad idea. That's fine. And we've started converting this to strings, but I'll do that properly later. So we'll delete that track as well. What is this one? This is where we're going to have some fun here. We're going to go through and see what the heck did I actually record in here. I'm not sure. Let's there's the birds. Bloody birds. All right. Oh, that's the pad idea. That's part 2 of the pad idea. So we'll rename this. And so this is pad harmony idea, basically. So the idea of this is that I wanted to have sort of a sound here. So if we come back and play both of these together, it's going to make more sense. So here's the first pad. In fact, we'll give that a little bit of extra time. We'll give it an extra quarter of a bar there. And this one will do the same, like that, just so that they're not being cut off anywhere. So that one's doing its little pad thing. And then this one will come in here and it will do its business. And it might be that these do have to be vocals because they're kind of using so I'm not quite sure. We'll work on that a little bit later. Now, what have I got down here? I don't know what these parts are. Let's find out. Oh, this was the second verse idea. So what I'm going to do, just to separate these out, I'm going to duplicate this track and I'm going to grab these. So remember, we can use a box and we'll bring them down. And this is going to be, we'll rename this track to second verse harmony, because that's what this one is. So where's that rename? Rename. This is going to be Vox second verse harmony idea. So that one is cool. And is this the same again, or is this? We are still learning. So this is another idea. So I've put all these same ideas on different tracks. So, didn't want to rename. We wanted to duplicate again. We are going to run shorter tracks pretty soon, but luckily I don't have a whole lot of tracks on my finished project, and a lot of these will sort of consolidate down into their own track. So this one, again, this one is in the chorus, I believe. So yeah, this is the second chorus backing vocals. So we'll again rename this. Again, I know this is not the most stimulating thing, but hopefully you're seeing here that getting a little bit organized is important, because then I'll actually know what all these things are when I go to try and actually pull them together. We've got a couple more things here. I don't know what these are, so let's find out. What's this one here? So this is sort of like a counter melody idea that I had for this one, so we'll call it that. Where are we? Rename. So rename it. So this is a counter melody that was going sort of a counter melody, not really. But I'll know. So the thing is, the most important thing about naming is that you know what the heck you're talking about. If no one else knows what you're talking about, it doesn't matter. What's this one? This one here is a arpeggiator idea. And me doing an arpeggio is just really funny. Yeah, right. But I know I could hear in my head what I was going for. And I happen to know that this one at the start here, this one here is my sample that I did of the, rename. This is the sample of the crosswalk sounds. So crosswalk samples. So that one sounds like this. Nope, not like that. All right, we're walking towards one of the crossings here that you can see there, and let's just sample it. So I don't really know, like there's a bit of wind in this sample. I'll probably have to redo it, but just as an idea of what it's going to be. There we go. Bup, bup. And what I'm thinking is there's a part in this where it sort of just goes bup, bup, where I need a sound that just goes boop, bup, 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 where it's all just like that. So I'll probably need to use this, export it out, put it into something like Audio Stretch, and then bring it in there. All right, let's. So I think we're pretty tidy now. I think this is all of our different ideas that we have in here. Going to take a little bit of vetting to go around and play around with it, but we will do that. But if you haven't heard this song in a little while, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play through with all of these ideas intact and in place and see what happens here. Thank you, by the way, to Beggars Can't Be Pickers. Again, I love that name. It's someone who's new to the community and already making a splash. When you've got a name like Beggars Can't Be Pickers, it's cool. And your version of Imagine that we played on Your Music Live this week, excellent. Really good message. Really nicely done. Just simple, stripped down, to the point. So thank you, and appreciate the kind words. Yeah, interesting question here for Mark. And for those that sing in multiple languages or write music in multiple languages, is it easier to rhyme in English or French? That's an interesting one. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it would be interested to know. Let's see. Mark says they're just as hard. What I found is it's easier to adopt the English language to a melody, while it's easier to adopt a melody to the lyrics in French. There you go. I like it. So who knew? I only have one language, so I don't have to worry about that. And Thomas says that's where Logic would come in handy. Flex time gives time stretching right in the timeline, and I am considering that. I might even just go out on a limb and grab Logic, and maybe even just for a few little things like that, it might be worthwhile me playing around with Logic and seeing how it's going to go. Amelia, hello to you. What is a good beginner app for someone who has never created music before and is not musically inclined? GarageBand is too advanced. I mean, I'm always going to lean towards GarageBand, but if you're not musically inclined, what I recommend is live loops in GarageBand. So GarageBand has its track view mode, as we know here, but we'll just save out of this, so I'm not going to do anything to that one. But you can also create a new song in live loops mode. So this gives you a bit of a learning. So if you came in here and you want to create some electro funk, you can just bring this in here and you can start utilizing loops to just... So yeah, playing around with live loops, and this is what when I've got especially younger folks, kids that are starting out, or people that haven't really spent a lot of time with music, you learn a lot about song structure and you learn a lot about creating and how songs work just by using this. So you learn about what beats work with what sounds, and you don't need to know anything about the theory side of it or anything else. And if you start with these live loops grids, they've got a whole bunch of cool sounds in here that you can have a lot of fun with. So that's my recommendation for starting out in music. There's also some cool, if you're learning instruments, there's some like online tutorials. Musicians, really good. So my kids have played around with a lot of that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, a lot of options there. I still think GarageBand, in terms of ease of use and accessibility, is one of the best. Unfortunately, GarageBand, whilst it is pretty complex, everything else is more complex. So yeah, GarageBand has a bit of a steep learning curve, but then if you move on to something like Pro Tools or Logic or Cakewalk, yeah, unfortunately the learning curve is even steeper. Yeah, Tom said the same thing. I'm challenging myself for Songtember, have lyrics, but I'm at a loss how to do the music. Yeah, and by the way, Amelia is Mrs. Christ. I don't know if she wants me to out her there, but yeah. So I would start, Amelia, like if you got lyrics, autoplay is another good thing. So if you've not played around with that, even if you're in the track view mode here, if you got lyrics, what you can actually do is GarageBand kind of holds your hand with this stuff. If you just go into your, say you wanted to go with a piano sound. So we'll go to keyboards and say we go down to the classical grand piano. What we can do is, instead of having to know what notes to play, all you need to do is go into our chords mode here and then just play around with some autoplay. So if we come in here, you might want to go, and you don't even have to know what these go, because it sets you with a key signature here. So it's in the key of C, so we can just go, well, let's play some C. And then maybe you go to the F. And it's really easy to just sort of start laying down the basis for a song. And then once you've got your piano in there, you can change the instrument. You can come in and go to, say, a bass. If you wanted to put some bass in there, you can do the same thing. So we can just go to the Liverpool bass. And again, using autoplay, just go to number 4 this time. You can bit of funkiness or something a bit different, something a bit more simple down here. So to me, that's an easy way to start. You use your loops, use your autoplay and your instruments. You really don't have to know much more than that. And if you've just got some lyrics, just, yeah, get yourself a very basic progression of chords down, and you're off to the races. Again, it's not that it's easy, but it's definitely the most accessible way, in my opinion, to get recording and to get happening. Hello, Christopher Rossi, working in Aurea, 25% done, but want to be here. Yeah, and I know I'm holding you up. I'm holding you up by doing these shows. And you're like, just let us get back to work, Johns. I'm like, I will soon. Casio Cordana Composer looks easy. Yeah, I've not tried anything like that. Is that hardware or software, Gregory? Not sure. And we've got loopers, we've got other suggestions for folks to do things. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can get into music creation. Where was I? We're coming towards the end here, so I won't do a whole lot more here on this one. I know this has been a bit of a different kind of GarageBand Weekly, but hopefully you've got some value out of this one. If you have, hit the like button. If you want to share with other folks, if other folks are on the fence about Songtember or you want to get them involved, feel free to do that. That's what we were going to do. I was going to play through this and see if any of these ideas actually work in here. So I'm literally just going to hit the play button here. We'll listen through the song once, and then we'll see if any of these are going to be working here. Oh yeah, and happy Labor Day, by the way. It's a long weekend in the US, so no excuses. You got a whole extra day of your weekend still to come that you can keep creating. So there you go. I'll make sure I'm back to do another show tomorrow, so that on your day off I can interrupt you and disturb you again. Let's go through now and try. What was this one? Oh, this was the. Did I not rename this? I didn't actually. I named it in the actual sample. We'll rename the track as well. You don't forget you can rename in two places. You can rename over here for the entire track, crosswalk samples, or you can name the actual audio item by renaming it there. So we'll leave that one muted because I don't really know where that one's going to go yet. Let's play this song. I'll turn my mic down and we'll have a bit of a play around. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's knowing all they can. Not everything will go to plan. You might be set up, or you might get fed up. Maybe just need a helping hand. Because we're all just a work in progress. Yes, we're all just a work in. Nobody's got it figured out. We all have doubt, things to know, learn about. That we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. When everything just feels. You heard me say the tick-tock there, which is this one here. So that's where I think that bloop, bloop might go in. I wonder if we can just try and line that up just while we're doing this, because I forgot where I actually wanted that. So let's grab this sample and bring it on over. I've got no idea if it's going to be anywhere near the right timing for this, but we can chop it. That's the thing. We can use some chopping to do this. So there's my tick-tock. So if we make it there, bunk, bunk. Where are we? Got it figured out. Yeah, so what we can do, because again, we can see where the sample is. You can actually come right in here with the snap to grid off and line it up and just find where we wanted it. So where I do that first tick-tock, that's where we want it. So, bop, like that. No, come on, got the snap to grid off. It should be moving freely. There it is. Let's just see if this lines up, shall we? Yeah, so that's in about the right position. So if we copy that and then just paste another version of it where we want the second one, I don't know why. I just think these noises will work around this. Let's just find out where the next one needs to be. Yeah, don't right on there. Right on. I don't know why I think this is cool, but let's just I'll take out this tick-tock that I put in there as a reference point, and then just leave these in and just see what this does, hey? Nobody's got it figured out. I don't know why. So hard. I like it. You need to try and you go far. It's hard to grow up, but if you show up, you shine and they'll see what you are. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. With what we know, we all have time and room to grow. That we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. The shame and pain you feel inside, perfectionist. Yeah, maybe it needs to do a beep, boop, beep, boop, instead of just a beep, beep. And you will see you're not alone. And I think there it needs to go low, and maybe that's where the beep, beep, because we're all like a little bit of a heartbeat sort of sound. Because we're all just a work in progress. we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. With what we know, we all have time and room to grow. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. A work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Because we're all just a work in progress. So that because we're all just a work in progress, that's going to be our gang vocal. And stay tuned later in the week. I will be, once I've got this all bedded down, I know the exact key and the exact timing of it, then it'll likely stay exactly as it is here in A minor and at 84 BPM. But I just want to make sure I'm happy with that. And I'll be inviting you all to record your own version of Because We're All Just a Work in Progress. Because as you heard there, that's going to be like some gang vocals that go right throughout this final chorus and then do a bit of an answer response thing. So that should be a lot of fun. We are plumb out of time and I've got to jump on over. So once again, if you are a member of the Create, Record, Release group, or if you are a patron of mine, you will have the link available. I'm also streaming straight into the Create, Record, Release group on Facebook, so you'll be able to find me there as well, and I'll be doing that in just a couple of minutes. Don't forget, there's a link there pinned as well of the gear guide. If you're looking for gear for your Songtember and you want to support the channel, you can use those. Those are affiliate links, which means that they break off a small chunk. Send it my way. There's also the GarageBand Beginner's Guide at studiolivetoday.com/courses. I do thank you all for being here. I hope your Songtembers go swimmingly. And as we say at the end of every show, remember, keep creating, but also look after yourself. Bit of self-care. Look after others. Support your fellow humans in the community. And of course, keep creating. I'm going to see you next time. Let's go out with this amazing sound that we have here. I'm just going to play this because, I think it's the best thing ever. Bye, everybody.